All right. So here we are, October 4th, 2021, and we are doing our first Moon Day night creative practice. And I organize these around the moon cycles. So we have a new moon coming in a couple days. So this is our new moon practice where we're really allowing ourselves to be in the creative process. In 2 weeks, we're going to meet again on another Monday, moon Day night, and that'll be close to the full moon, and that'll be a time for sharing, for kind of sharing, completions or close to completions, and talking more about kind of what happens when we're sharing and after we've shared in the creative process. Um, and so, I was inspired to start this because I know for me, the creative practice is an essential aspect of my spiritual practice. It always has been. Um, and and especially in these last couple of years of COVID, and also just myself personally living alone more, I've been really craving just more support around my creative practice, and just having there be community around it. And um, I could feel it becoming, something that was making me feel more isolated, when for me, art has always been about, and creative expression has always been, yes, definitely about inquiring and exploring inside of myself. And there's a big aspect of that process that has to happen alone. But it's ultimately about connecting us, I believe. And so I'm really excited to have four wonderful women gathered here for this one. And if you're watching the video, you could play along and join us in a couple weeks for the full moon circle. And we'll keep doing them in future months as well. So what I wanted to share tonight is a simple template that you can for thinking about our creative practice and approaching it. And I'm going to share my screen here. And if you're watching the video, there will also be a link to this along with video. So here we go. Okay. Sorry, share screen. Here we are. Okay. So creative practice starter kit is what I'm calling this. And this is sort of this bigger template, and then within it, you will have links to other resources. So this is a great place to start. At the top, I talk about how what we want to do is create a creative habit, so a regular space of time for practice. Coming to this is a great start, but I would recommend maybe also in between the sessions, of course, doing a daily or a weekly practice, and really kind of setting a rhythm for yourself is something that I really recommend with any kind of practice that we want to start. And so when we're creating a new habit, we think about the space and time aspect. So what kind of space is most conducive for your creative practice? What's in that room? What's not in that room? Or what do you shut down or turn off? Maybe you play a certain kind of music. Like how do you create the atmosphere that makes you want to show up and do your creative practice? Or what kind of supplies do you have, one on hand? I feel like every fall I get that new school year feeling, and want to go take myself out and get some new art supplies or craft supplies. And I think that that's actually really important, and to have them laid out in a way that's inviting. I know for me, if I want to do something regularly, but it's all like in a box underneath my bed and I have to unpack it every time, it makes it harder. Is there a way to have a space in your house where it's just set up waiting there for you to dive into that practice? It's going to make it a lot easier to show up. And then time, there's a lot to think about here. What's the regularity, consistency that you want to commit to? Something I don't mention in this sheet, but is also something to think about, is what you might want to experiment with different times of day, and different, kind of states of mind that you're in when you start your practice. And then I break it down to kind of two different ways that you can create some accountability for yourself with the time that you dedicate. For some people, it's no problem. They show up, they do their creative practice, the time passes, no problem. For most of us, setting a timer is a really great way to just keep us accountable. And that's actually what we're going to do tonight after this little talk and after I do a couple little shares. We're going to each set a time, we're going to set a timer for 30 minutes and each of us do our own practice in that time. The other thing that you can be doing for yourself is doing it quota based. So another thing I've done when I was trying to write a lot more was have 1,000 words. I write 1,000 words a day. They don't have to be good. They don't have to be edited, but it's like I get that out. So that's another way, or just say, I'm going to sit here until this is finished, sometimes we have the capacity to do that. Okay, so then I give you basically, the ABCs of meditation and how we use the same template for creative practice. I'm not going to go deeply into ABC tonight, but if you're curious, just send me a note or make a comment, and I can help you think about those a little bit more. But basically, you just like we do when we sit to meditate, before we dive right into grabbing onto that mantra, let yourself arrive physically, just show up. Maybe there's a little ritual that you do when you first show up into your sacred creative space. Breathe, be in your body, take a few conscious breaths. That's a great thing to do before we start any endeavor. And step C is to connect to care, to take a moment to remember why you're here, what you're honoring, what you're serving, why it matters. And this works to help us stay committed, because we remember why this matters, and it really, really does. And I hope to, in the future evenings that we have together, once you've got this template, a lot of what I'll be doing is kind of giving you inspiration and reminding you how important it is that we do this. It's also going to make the work that comes through better. It just is. It's going to make it less egoic and less about, I know something that is a trap for me is things being pretty or clever. Ooh, that's such a great phrase. There's a saying in writing, which is kill your darlings, meaning those things that you're like, oh, but it's so pretty, but I just want it to, and it's so clever. People are going to be like, wow, isn't she impressive? Those are often the things that are actually getting in the way of just the truth coming through, a really authentic expression coming through. And so for me, remembering why that I'm actually serving something bigger than Aaron when I do the practice means that I'm not going to get stuck in those little ego traps of the work. And that what comes through is going to be something that actually really speaks to people on that deeper level that we really want to be connecting on. All right. And then do it. Step D, I just said do it, but in meditation, it's direct your attention. It's to do an exercise, to do the work. So steps A, B, and C kind of create that capacity for us to really, really begin. And we begin. And I've basically broken this down into 3 different aspects of the parts of the creative process that go in an order. I've called these different things at different times. At some point, I was calling it experience, explore, and express. Here I have it called flow, explore, prepare, and share. It's the same thing if you've worked with me with that other one, with the other words. It's the same thing. The idea is, a creative flow practice is when you start with that blank page or blank canvas and you just let you put on your timer like we're about to do, and you just let things flow. And I have some templates. I have a template for that. If you showed up and you're like, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, or maybe I have an idea seed, but I haven't started, then you're just going to do some flow. And some creative people like to do a little flow before, every day. But if you have already a rough draft, or you have something that's in pieces and you want to work with that, then I would work with the explore forms, which if you have the link to this, you could just click right on that, but I'll show them to you here at the end of this talk in just a sec. And then if you have like an almost final draft, right? Or you're just ready to edit it and clean it up for presentation, then you're going to use the prepare and share forms. And the idea with us breaking down the process into these 3 parts is that it's really kind of a different experience to be in each part. The flow practice, we want to really be this kind of medium and conduit for things to come through us, and we're not with the editor. We gotta send the editor on vacation for that. Otherwise, it's gonna be a really bumpy, hard process. We're gonna be creating obstacles all along the way. And once we're in the explore forms, we're going to be, like a more exploratory. We're going to already have a sense of something that we want to say, but maybe we're going to actually go and maybe when you're doing explore forms, right, you're going to go and do some research, or you're going to go and there's different things in there that you can do. But the idea is that's when you're kind of really building up the work. And then prepare and share is when, it's not just for you anymore. This is for others. And so you want to be considerate about how it's going to be perceived. Then you'd absolutely want the editor in there. You want to fix the grammar. You want to make it really clean and neat. And depending on the kind of work you're doing, the kind of medium you're in, there are different things that you might need to do. You might need to do a rehearsal. You might need to prepare in various ways. And just to finish this, and then I'm going to open each of these and just show you what they are. But just to finish this, exist in the now here is the final, when you're done, just take a moment and drop into a sense of acceptance and ease and let it be, right? Like, let it be, good. Let it be what it is. And then we finish, wrap up your practice, honor that gift of time and space for creative practice that you've had. Maybe say a little prayer to your own, creative gurus, and then wrap up your space, clean it up, make it nice for yourself for when you come back the next time. And then we go forth, and then we go into our lives knowing that we are this. We are the experiencer, the explorer, the expressor. Okay, so if you click on this flow forms, it looks like this. And I'm actually not going to talk through this, and I can do that in another session if you guys want. But this is going to be here for you tonight if you're working in a flow space. The first few minutes, you can just look through this, and I'll be on the line. You can message me if you have questions. See this one, explore. So for explore forms, I'm calling them forms, sort of templates, prompts and portals for discovering truth. So after you've done the flow and then you have a work to explore. So I recommend going back through the draft, right? And allowing yourself to see things through new eyes, to see what's interesting in there, to see what's worth maybe grabbing and putting into a bigger final work. And then prepare and share. This is how we really finally give final birth to the work and offer it to the world. And this is when we invite in our editor and our director and get it all organized. Okay. So I'm going to stop the shared screen. And those of us who are gathered here, we're just going to take a couple minutes each to say hi to the group and to share a little bit about what, maybe what brought us here tonight, and maybe about what you might be working on tonight. Then we're going to do 30 minutes of practice, and then come back together for a little bit of sharing about what came up in the practice. And those of you watching the video, please, do this on your own. Watch the video and then use the flow forms that I'm giving you, the explore forms or the prepare and share forms, and then share with us. You can post on Nora Village about what came out of all of this for you and what your experience was like, and we would love to hear about that.